Well, hello and welcome to the bathroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Hugh Stelfers for October 30th, the day of the overseer. And here at the top of the page is kind of a visual representation of the day of the overseer. Well, we have us what I would assume to be some kind of surrealist's interpretation, boom, of a windmill. That's right. It seems to just be like a shed and some of those windmill aspects that coming out of the end of it. I don't know if that speaks to the day of the overseer, but hey, there is a little ladder leading to it, right? I don't know. Do most people go to the top of a windmill to oversee things? Probably not. But hey, let's not throw a bunch of credence at the visual representational image there. Sometimes it doesn't even really make a connection with the day, at least in my mind. But who's to say? Maybe we'll see some kind of connotation as we get on with the read. At least maybe we can try to make one if it comes to my mind. In any event, hey, that's not altogether important here. What is important, however, is it's October 30th, and therefore it's someone's birthday today. And if that's the case, if it's your birthday and it's October 30th, I just want to say happy birthday. But if this video finds you late, well, I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. But for everyone else who's joining us randomly or more ideally to celebrate the October 30th birthday, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the redirect, real quick, I'd like to do something around these here parts to live up to the namesake. This is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so let's roll some dice. But we don't just do it to live up to the namesake. No, we also do it, more importantly, for synchronicity's sake. And here we rolled us a 1 and a 5 for a 6. Now, what is synchronicity? You might just be wondering to yourself. Well, it's just you getting out in the world and letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by using a little bit of a benchmark, per se, or a waypost, if you like. And that's an agreed upon set of numbers. Now, the intention's here for the 1 and the 5 for a 6 for you, but you can roll your own number if you like. You go on instinct with a lot of this stuff, but it's probably preferable you get your own set of dice, quite honestly, so you can ascribe directional values to number sets and roll yourself time limits with which to go in those directions. But say you reach the end of that time duration, at the end of that location you got to there, and you just stop, compose yourself, and you look for your signs. That's right. And sometimes, hey, the numbers just aren't there. So you step back, like I said, compose yourself, and you look for things that might be anomalous, things that really cry out to you that the universe is speaking to you. And sometimes it might just go right past you, because you know what? We're in this mindset of not really seeing things as when they're right in front of us, right? So maybe you're in a sea of people who just look really rather, I don't know, boring, if you like. But then, hey, what's this? Somebody comes in with like a red flannel, right? And it's just it's an anomaly amidst the sea, right? So hey, guess what? Maybe just set out, roll your dice for a time limit, and with the time it takes you to do that, you get a little bit of space between that individual, and you follow them for those time limits there that you put on it. And then, hey, maybe at the moment that that time limit elapses, and they've taken you on a little bit of a journey there, maybe you find yourself in front of a building, and I don't know, maybe there's a 15 in the address. Well, hey, that's one of your numbers, right? It's kind of just screaming out at you. But hey, maybe that building's locked. Oh shoot, this isn't very synchronous. But then, hey, maybe somebody comes right up the steps there and they unlock it for you. Hey, this is my building. I'm like, oh, well, sorry about that. And they're like, oh, can I help you with something? I'm just here for synchronicity. You know, this guy in this video told me to just follow the numbers as they happen. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? So maybe you show them this video, and hey, guess what? Turns out it's their birthday too. It's just things like that that might happen. And hey, maybe you just made a friend. Maybe they bring you in for some tea or whatever your beverage of choice is, because maybe it's theirs too. And you just made a friend. Who's to say? But it could be things that line up just like that. And why? Because you followed your numbers. That's right. You followed your numbers for some synchronicity. All right, I think you get the point. Probably not going to happen like that, but hey, get out there, see, taste, touch, and feel the magic that the universe is lining up for you. All right. Let's get into it, shall we? Your month is October, your day is the 30th, and your sign is 6 to 8 degrees Scorpio of the Scorpio I period specifically. And your quality and element is fixed water. And what does that mean? Well, that's for another video you'll have to look up. All right, hey, October 30th, the day of the overseer. When given the chance, October 30 people generally make good managers who have a talent for directing others. And those born on this day are usually multi-talented and can often bring abilities specific to one field of endeavor to bear on another, traditionally unrelated field. In addition to their expertise, they invariably have the ability to draw people to projects and keep them interested and motivated. Strangely enough, many people born on this day travel overseas in fulfilling the demands of their career or even in starting a new life, and thus giving the name of their day a double meaning. Day of the Overseer, if you forgot. The image of an October 30 person crossing a sea is indeed a relevant metaphor for those born on this day, as they must sail through three crucial periods in their lives: their late teens, late 20s, and early 40s. At each juncture, they are faced with the daunting challenge of uncharted waters. And should they decide to stay where they are and shun this challenge, they can find themselves living out their lives in frustration, with their wishes remaining unfulfilled. On the other hand, if they take the plunge, they may have to suffer hardship and instability for an indeterminate length of time. And although others may see their decisions to risk as courageous, in fact, many October 30 people feel that they have no choice but to follow their dreams. And though October 30 people often initiate projects themselves, they are also capable of conforming to another person's system or way of working. They possess a rare capacity to be both directive and receptive. And thus they can make good chiefs, but also good braves, and good cooks, but also good assistants. They adapt well to tasks of maintenance and are therefore able to keep a project running, whether their own or another's, it says in parentheticals, despite problems that arise. And October 30 people have a way of asserting their authority effectively. This is not to say that they do not arouse resentment from time to time in their family, social circle, or workplace, but they are nonetheless able to smooth ruffled feathers and convince everyone to go on with the job. And though, as mentioned, October 30 people are not averse to taking the challenge of a new opportunity when it presents itself, they can nevertheless be so attentive to the here and now that they miss chances to advance their career or widen their world. They do better when they give themselves the space to think broadly, the distance and objectivity necessary to view their lives from another side. And too often those born in this day are preoccupied with the discharging of responsibilities, when all the while the clock is ticking on their larger plans. And October 30 people must not only direct their energies outward toward the success of worldly concerns, but also pay more attention to their personal needs and wants. And they must beware of sacrificing their own spiritual development for the sake of a larger social group or cause. Allowing time for themselves to grow as individuals is equally important. Well, all right. Hey, how about that for a dynamic birthday breakdown? All right. Hey, I got some notes here. I'd like to provide a little bit of a commentary. So let's dive into it with the Day of the Overseer. When given the chance, you generally make a good manager with a talent for directing others. And you got to have that qualifier generally in there, I suppose. You also usually are multi-talented for another qualifier. But don't mind me just doing a little bit of overseeing, if you like. I don't know. Generally, I'm the one making all the use of such things, as I can't really conceive of astrology in a lot of senses being universally applicable. But I'll press on without being too hypercritical in that way, furthermore, here. But the reading claims you often bring on a set of talents to another unrelated field, to which I argue that is a talent in and to itself, all right? As you bring those talents to something completely unrelated, you know. A lot of folks can't do that. But it also makes for interesting results, I would argue, okay? Like, so think of an engineer who brings his skill set for making precision parts over to the likes of, say, cake baking, or maybe a chemist and their understanding of how things react. They might just know how to get the flavors that a typical baker isn't able to, right? But your leadership abilities start to get mentioned as the ability to draw people to projects and keep them involved is brought up. And this overseas travel aspect, for the low-hanging fruit pun on the title, I wouldn't have even generally given mention. It wouldn't have gotten mentioned from me. But it seems like such a very interesting and seemingly kismet fastened to mention that it's not something that I wouldn't imagine being all that common. But you know what? It might just be. It'd be surprising to me to find out a lot of you folks like to travel and go overseas and stuff, and maybe you realize some interesting part of your life in that respect. You know, I did a lot of overseas travel. It didn't really appeal to me, so you know what? It's not a common thing. A lot of people might say, yeah, everybody that goes overseas is going to find something to do. Well, not necessarily the case. Not necessarily the case. But anyway, surprising amount of folks today it might apply to. So that's why I brought it up. They're further mentioning the metaphor to relate challenge is also quite unique to this read, as they don't often bring up such dynamics relating to life challenges and pursuits in that way, especially when they broke up your life into 3 specific parts. I think maybe they've done it 1 or 2 other times. I know specifically they sometimes do a duality type thing. The early and the later, or the lesser and the higher evolved. But they broke your life into 3 important stages. So maybe something to take note of there. And they also say that, the fact that you may not approach challenges as brave but necessary in realizing your dreams is admirable in my mind, all right? It's kind of a realist, down-to-earth view, not often held or employed. Employed in the latter part specifically. A lot of people probably think of as much, right? But you might have to use that myself, I wrote here. You're also said to be receptive to direction, and adept at maintenance, and good leaders, and a capacity to follow and make effective authority figures, all right? All of which is rarely mentioned together, all right? It's usually one or the other, a follower or a leader. But the read also makes mention of, what do I got here on the other page? A certain myopia to your own personal and professional needs and development. See, there's the drawback. I knew there was going to be something on the tail end of this, which is understandable to me if you're adept at the abilities mentioned. All right. So by and large, a lot of strengths, weaknesses. I don't necessarily say how to rectify as much, but hey, I'm sure they're going to get to that here in due time. All right. So like I said, quite the interesting birthday read. So that being said, with the breakdown in the can, as it were, let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, your numbers and planets. Those born on the 30th of the month are ruled by the number 3, as 3 plus 0 equals 3, and by the planet Jupiter. Many ruled by the number 3 are highly ambitious, even dictatorial. But this seems less true for October 30 people, who are generally motivated in a moderate and healthy way to seek financial and material success. I wanted to read it like marital, but it's material success. However, their urge to assert themselves is underlined by the powerful influence of Pluto, which is Scorpio's ruler. And a love of independence, typically associated with the number 3, can sometimes be a problem for those born on October 30, who are so often beholden to a group. All right, there's your numbers and planets. What I had to say. Let's dive back into the notes here. The number 3 in the expansive planet Jupiter. And I just got done watching 2001, so I'll try to keep it tempered back here a little bit here. But the planet Jupiter for that could have been a secondary star in the system, but chose to be the biggest planet instead energy. The reading conveys the ambitious, even dictatorial penchant typical of Jupiter and the number 3 rulership, but relates that you have an ability to buck that particular trend. And I think that's a first with this particular planet. I received a similar dynamic with my Uranus reading, or Uranus if you like, which I more prefer. But you know what? I think that was the only one where I read that. So hey, you know what? You got something special too in that regard. So I keyed to this one pretty quick in that respect. Let's see what else I have to say here. And this, this is a highly personalized entry, and of additional note here is that Pluto didn't seem to convey the darker ends which it has in the days past. Pluto is apparently, it brings people to this better understanding of the darker aspects of humankind, or human personalities. They didn't really mention that here. What else we got here? So it's a highly unique entry, to be sure. All right, hey, let's move on from your numbers and planets. I got a little stymied there. Let's get the energy back up. So let's move on to your tarot. Oh, that's right. One of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, even though it's not really that new. I don't know that I necessarily believe in it, but you know what? Who's to say we have to? It's here in the book. It's your birthday. Let's dive in, broaden our horizons, something new and fun. We don't got to take it home and deal the cards out to our every women fancy. So let's get into it here. The number 3 card of the major arcana is the Empress, who symbolizes creative intelligence. She's the perfect woman, the ultra-feminine Mother Earth nurturer, who embodies our dreams, hopes, and aspirations. The card represents positive traits of charm, grace, and unconditional love, but also negative traits of vanity and affectation, as well as intolerance for imperfection. All right, there is your tarot. Complete copy-paste job in that respect. They didn't personalize it for you at all, but you know what? That's okay. You got a personalization on your numbers and planets there. So, and you know what? You buck the trend, so you can take that away from this entire read. That, if anything, I would say. In any event, the Empress for the creative intelligence and the dreams, hopes, and aspirations embodied. All right, positive traits of charm, grace, and unconditional love. Okay, negatives of vanity and tolerance for imperfection. You see, I didn't see much of a correlation here. I wrote as I was writing this, but charm and grace seems to speak to be able to work well with others, regardless of their status. But the most glaring respect here of commonality, I would say, is the pursuit of dreams. That's right. Specifically for me, as it relates to the struggle you have to endure to get there, all right? Which makes it that much more valuable, I would argue. And that's important. That's important. Life is a struggle, and it's going to add more value to things as opposed to just getting handed to you. Though that is nice on occasion, especially if and you struggle. Am I right? You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, that being said, that's been your tarot card. Let's move on to your health. All right, your health. October 30 people are often more concerned with the health of their family members, employees, and coworkers than they are with their own. And those born on this day must learn to apply their talents for maintenance to their own bodies. Regulating their eating and sleeping habits is a good first step. And sustaining a balanced diet with a firm basis in bulk vegetables and grains, not only for nutrition, but to ensure proper intestinal performance, it says in parentheticals, is particularly important to their health. And care should be taken to guarantee an adequate daily intake of pure water, all right, up to half a gallon, it says in parentheticals. Coffee and black tea intake should be limited, but the use of herbal teas is highly recommended. Vigorous exercise seems to suit October 30 people who may show a special aptitude for competitive group sports. How about that? I'm not quite sure what bulk vegetables are, but hey, maybe we'll look that up here later. For myself, you'll have to do it on your own time there. Let's dive in with your health, shall we? More concerned with the health of the people around you than yourself. All right. Here again, the unconditional love, I might argue, all right, for not just the people in your family, but your coworkers, it would seem, especially if you're concerned about their morale, I would say. What else we got here? Do not forget it's probably easier to do your best, and your best is probably better realized if you are in tip-top shape. All right, that's right. Hey, we can be in a crappy state of being or constitution, if you like, and just give it our all. But you know what? Your all might not be the best it could be. I know, you get it, but hey, I just thought I'd reiterate that as much. Diet is drilled down upon pretty specifically with the water, too. I think that got mentioned the other day, so it's kind of interesting that this Pluto thing has a real energy, or water focus, rather. And vigorous exercise is also mentioned, as well as sleep. I like to say competitive. Yeah, here you are, you're just bringing everybody up with your coworkers and partners, and giving them all that support, but then you want to tear them down on the sports field? I don't know, maybe it's a little bit of tough love. Unconditional tough love, regardless how it's realized. They also mentioned sleep. Maybe try out their recommendations, if you find yourself in kind of a slump, They're usually pretty specific and individualized, so there might just be something to it there. Who's to say? In any event, that's been your health. So let's move on to some advice. Yeah, we mentioned it earlier, didn't we? Let's see if they bring anything to the table. Don't miss the forest for the trees, all right? Keep in mind the larger picture. Spend more time and energy on yourself and remain open to the opinions and suggestions of others. All right, real quick in and out. I'd say there's a lot of value there, even though we heard a couple of those previously. All right, your advice. Don't miss the forest for the trees. Hear that one a lot. But hey, makes sense, right? I'd say you mind the trees pretty well based on the read, all right? So take a step back once in a while to see what that care benefits, okay? Yeah, maybe take some appreciation for what you've been accomplishing. But at the same time, you might start to see some of the issues you wouldn't have otherwise. And you can't fight root rot if there's an oncoming wildfire, am I right? So take care of yourself too. And you can't find a fire if you don't know about it and you aren't properly hydrated. And I wrote pickle juice here. And why is that? Because I had a teacher who was a smoke jumper and he said pickle juice makes for great hydration. They drink like a gallon of it when they were, fighting the fires there. I guess the electrolytes or something. And it says you should be hydrated. So hey, maybe get you some pickle juice. All right, what else do I have here? I had to take it over into the book itself, ran out of space on the page. Opinion and suggestions of others. Good practice in general, I would say. Be made aware of things you didn't necessarily know. But also, even if you did know, there's the added benefit of people coming away feeling that they've been heard and listened to, right? Which builds morale and benefits everyone if in fact you really did hear them. But yeah, sometimes it's just for show, right? Let's be honest. It's understandable, we're human, right? And naturally, we don't always have things of value to impart. So you might have to kind of ignore what those people are saying, just gonna give them a little bit of a lift, if you like. But it sounds to me like you're aware of as much, especially if you work so well with others. So you're probably well aware of how to keep people going. That's right. Have them think they're being heard and be heard when it's needed. Any event, hey, that's been your advice. So let's take the energy down just a hair and move on to your meditation. All right, your meditation. Are you ready? Death is only a crossing over into another world. Okay, one more time. Death is only a crossing over into another world. Not quite sure why they gave this one to you, but hey, that's not for me to try and interpret, right? It's your meditation, it's your birthday. I'm not going to throw some spin on it. The authors had that in mind for a reason. Maybe you can figure it out. Once again, death is only a crossing over into another world. All right, so with your meditation in the can, as it were, let's move on to your strengths and your weaknesses. That's right. Let's do the work. You know, I didn't really see a lot of weaknesses for you, but hey, I'm sure they came up with something. Let's take a look here. Your strengths: you're organized, you're confident, and you're attentive. That's right. You're doing that listening to everybody. That's right. That's good. All right. But your weaknesses, let's see where we're in a deficit here, where we can improve. Do the real work now. Your weaknesses: self-neglectful, frustrated, and preoccupied. Well, you know what? I'd say as far as weaknesses go, that's not half bad, all right? All things we can, I don't know if it's easily improved upon, but they can be improved upon. That's right. So, hey, once again, self-neglectful, frustrated, and preoccupied. What are you preoccupied with? Apparently not being what's the opposite of neglectful? Taking care of yourself. Maybe it's not. You should preoccupy yourself with that and take care of two of them now. Any event, hey, that's been your strengths and your weaknesses. So let's take us on into those born on this day. That's right. And with those born on this day, you not only get to see who shares your company, which can be a real interesting lottery sometimes, but I like to segue into something that I find important, and that's figuring out our passions. You know, a lot of times get out in the world and meet folks, ask them what they do and if they like it. And they don't, because you know what? They're not chasing down their passion, their life's purpose, if they even know what it is. That's right. That's a huge facet of it as well. Having the time to put in the energy to figure that out. And so I think this serves as the perfect opportunity to examine as much. Let's see what the folks who share your company did to get themselves in the book. Put them on the map there. And maybe it wasn't their passion specifically, but you know what? That doesn't mean we can't take some inspiration from what got them here. That's right. But you know what? Because it's understandable that folks can't know or don't know what their passion is, or if they do, how to translate that into some kind of financial viability, if you like. Because you get out in the world, you gotta get a job real quick, right, the first thing you get into, and maybe you start advancing up the career ladder with that. But it has nothing to do with what you want to do. But you gotta get that money, right? You gotta keep that roof over your head, keep those bed sheets fresh. Just that's how it goes. So, like I said, I think this is the perfect opportunity to maybe examine a little bit of something just for you. That's right. So let's get into it here. We start off with a controversial figure here with Christopher Columbus, the Italian-Spanish navigator traditionally credited with discovering America. It's interesting they put that in here. This book's copyright 1994. They was pushing the envelope a little bit by putting traditionally credited. All right, moving on, we have John Adams. All right, U.S. President, Declaration of Independence signer, and the first minister to England, opposed war with France and died on the same day as Jefferson, apparently. We have Ezra Pound, the expatriated poet, famous for cantos. He was also a scholar, translator, an Italian fascist supporter, World War II, and charged with treason. How about that for a passion? That's right. He really leaned in to what he was passionate about. We have Diego Maradona, an Argentinian soccer star and player of the decade, it says. We have Paul Valéry, a French symbolist, poet, philosopher, and a critic. Louis Malle, or Mal Lewis, perhaps, too, a French film director of My Dinner with Andre and Atlantic City. Claude Loach, Les Loach, perhaps, French film director, a man and a woman, and a photographer and a producer. Clifford Brown, a jazz trumpeter, and it says killed in a car accident at 25. Jeez. We also have Grace Slick, singer-songwriter of Jefferson Airplane and Jefferson Starship. We also have Eddie Holland, the singer and Motown songwriter and producer. Richard Brinkley, Sheridan, Irish-English restoration comic and playwright. We also have Charles Atlas, a bodybuilder, bodybuilding mail order king, it says. I thought they were redundant with the bodybuilder then. So bodybuilder and a bodybuilder mail order king. All right, you have David Osterach, a Soviet violinist, Alfred Sisley, a French impressionist painter, George II, the German-British king, Henry Winkler, the TV, film actor, and producer, Fonzie of Happy Days fame. We have Marion Leadwig, bowler, a 9-time Women Bowler of the Year. Interesting. First female bowler I can recall. Harry Hamlin, film and TV actor of L.A. Law fame. Max Tischler, a chemist and president of American Co. And Daniel Nathans, the U.S. Nobel Prize winning microbiologist. And all right, how about that for a few folks born on this day? A lot of them I didn't recognize. And the French names, they got me stymied there. So, hey, let's rectify that. Okay, I don't mean to do it in malice. It's just hooked on phonics. Doesn't work for me with the French names there. But in any event, that's been those born on this day. Hopefully you took some inspiration. I know that's a tall order, a big ask. But you know what? Maybe me just mentioning it is going to help stir up them fires. That's right. Maybe if anything, that's what it provided for you. So that's right. Get out there, figure out your passions, put in some time, put in some work, come away happier, and go through those 3 stages of your life that they mentioned. That's right. Maybe help push the boat out with you on that there. Any event, like I said, that's been those born on this day, which essentially rounds out your birthday read. Except to say, your season is fall, your sign once again is Scorpio, of the Scorpio 1 period specifically, and your quality and element is fixed water. And this has been October 30th, the day of the Overseer, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you are interested in picking up a copy. It'll save you the trouble of having to type it in the browser there, and then support the channel in the bargain, which I appreciate. In any event, that's not what's important here. What's important here is it's someone's birthday, and wishing you a happy birthday once again. That's right. Hope you have a happy birthday. But for everyone else who joined us out of curiosity, or more ideally to celebrate, like I said, hey, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. All right. And with that being said, lest we forget, your daily numbers. That's right. Your 1 and your 5 or your 6. Get out there, see, taste, touch, and feel the magic. And even if you don't, hey, at least you're getting your steps in, right? But stay warm out there. I know it's cold, at least where I am. So we don't want to get chilled in our bones, do we? But hey, maybe some of that synchronicity works out. You chance yourself into a nice warm cup of herbal tea. That's right. You can't be drinking the black ones there. Not good for your constitution, apparently. All right. Any event, hey, once again, happy birthday. Take care of yourselves.